come to the bold analysis. The president's attitude whenever the word Gen Z is mentioned, of course, on terms of the accountability push on the state, his attitude is very worrying. And it clearly shows two things: that the youth revolt that the country experienced, according to the state, it was whitewashed by Odinga's arrival in the party. And that let's say it and repeat it once more. That is the worst mistake that Kenya Kwanza regime is making. An assumption that when I have Odinga, I have settled the Gen Z questions. And the more worrisome, issue is thinking that the things that Arrest was about Gen Z was about the young people. No. It is the young people that were in the front line, but the things they reminded the political leadership cuts across the generations. Ladies and gentlemen, in this podcast, I want to show you how the president reacted irritated when a military, once a military, always a soldier, always a soldier. When a military man challenged him to address the Gen Z questions. Kindly subscribe to our channel. Out of 10, only 4 have subscribed to our channel this month. So can you confirm your subscription? Subscription is absolutely free. And in this podcast, I always tell you here that we do our research. We make it objective, and we give you the perspective that it's worth your time. You listen to and get something, you get rejuvenated. We don't just run with flashy headlines without substance. So make sure you subscribe. And of course, you know that we are also the only podcast that stand. We were the pioneer. Oh, I haven't given me to copy. And we also stand with the community in time of need. And thank you very much. For the month of September, we took 4 students to colleges, and we were also able to put up a house for Mary Nyambura in Nakuru. And may God bless you for that. Now listen. Major retired Maden Madoka was in State House today for official launch of his book titled At the Ready. This book was launched in State House. Of course, retired military. I realize nowadays kuna events mingi Ruto anapenda kuhost events State House. Siku ni kama okay, book launch retired military imekuwa launches in State House. Fine, haina shida, but ni sawa. And the retired military man told the president that please calm the youth, address the youth issue ahead of the next election.
Let us all work towards improving this country of ours. I believe it's a great country and there's a lot to be done. I don't envy your task, particularly now. Sasa mimi vile nilisema tulikuwa tunalalamika na wenzangu kwamba hawa vijana hawa watatuharibia. Sasa unaona vile mambo yalivyo. Sasa ujue ni njia gani utatumia kututuliza ili tufanye mambo yetu sawa sawa. Great for this nation. Mungu akubariki, uendeshe nchi hii vyema.
That's a very innocent request. A very innocent request. A request that is not new. A statement that almost everyone has always said. And we warned that we don't need to close our ears from this. But I know one thing. When I saw that video, someone shared with me that video. It was shared from one of the websites. So I was actually telling her that even before I saw how the president, I told her, kama kuna kitu President Ruto atakangi kusikia, ni mtu anaongelea Gen Z. Any voice, the Gen Zs have been consolidating recently. And last Sunday, in JSM Church in Thika Road, Bishop Kinge was even complaining that they were being harassed by some state players.
To our network provider, Safaricom. To our network provider, Safaricom. Watu walio JCM ni watu wana adabu na ni watu wana mwelekeo. Tafadhali, kwa sababu tunataka saa hii, we want to raise money for this family. Turejeshewe network so that we raise money for this family. Now listen.
They were there to for some Thanksgiving service. And by the way, I'm really moved by how the Gen Zs have consolidated their voices and the support that went to Kaluma Boy. I only saw, I had not seen that video, but I reviewed the TikTok videos of how this boy was sharing venye alikuwa na take care of the father who had stroke. And the kind of solidarity that has been shown by the young people, by the Gen Zs to stand with that family. And I like it. That is it. I like that spirit. It was a good spirit. And we give them your flowers. Lakini, hebu sasa tuongee pole pole. I have seen you guys in church with flowers. I have seen you guys want to build a TikTok, a Gen Z hospital. Very good ambition. But also, remember, in this country, everything works within some system and structure. And for you to be part and parcel of the institutional change, remember, this country needs an institutional change. We need to change the institution. We need to change the software. The hardware is there. For us to do that, my brothers and sisters, kindly, I've seen you guys holding the flowers. Kindly get out and register as a voter. That is the only tool available. The unit is good. And why am I saying that? Do you know that the government is struggling to coin a voter registration call, clarion call, with two terms? Like how you want to say, come out and register and then support us to get two term. It's a problem. The two term people, what I was expecting, saisi registration, I was expecting Kinaitumbi to now sit in a corner and come up with a message that is encouraging the youth to go and register and then vote. If you want to know it's a problem, let me play for you a video of Jalango. Jalango tried it in Vihiga. And I want you to see how many hands were raised on the issue of two-term. Akiwaambia wa register, ndiye atawaambia kiongozi ni nani.
Esha vijana wenzangu, sana sana Gen Z, tujiandikishe kama wapiga kura. You can't be partyless, voiceless, leaderless and voteless. Lazima tujiandikishe ili 2027 ukiwa na hiyo kadi yako ya kupiga kura, tutakwambia leader ni nani. Leader ni yule masoko anamaliza, barabara anazimaliza, stadium zinaisha na kazi inaendelea. Kila mtu nionyeshe two-term ya Mheshimiwa Ruto. Asante sana na Mungu awabariki.
So this video will show you why really, and I think I'm the person who raised it first, that the state is not, they're not very keen on that Gen Z vote because they believe that those young people, first-time voters, might not vote for this regime. They can vote for anyone, but not that regime. So I understand the speeches that are normally coined that seem to support the collective voices of young people irritates the president. And his response and body language clearly fell short of the expectation.
We're trying to resolve the issue of young people, the youth of our nation. And by the way, you know, what Marsden was saying here, that the limits are being pushed by our young people. It is correct. You know, the restlessness of our young people, the impatience of the young people in Kenya is because for far too long we are operating around the average, you know, the normal, this roll-of-the-mill stuff. And yet we have tremendous potential. So they are not entirely wrong. They are pushing the limits. And that is why we need to up our game. Yeah? And so it's the reason why we have a four-pronged plan on how we're going to create opportunities. These young people are looking for opportunities. They are looking for opportunities to work. They are looking for opportunities to do business. They are looking for opportunities to learn, to grow, to, you know, to be part of the drive that we have as a nation. And it is because it is in the DNA of Kenya not to be average, but to be excellent. That's our DNA. And that's why you see people are restless, people are impatient, because that's what we are made of. We are not made to participate. We are made to win.
Yes. I don't think it's impatience. I don't think it's impatience. Remember some of these things that are being asked. We've been here for a while. We've been here for a while. I don't know why you will say impatience if finance bill had to be dropped. I don't know. And as to whether you then continue asking for patience is another question altogether that will need a response at some point. And while we talk about patience, we've always listened to soothing speeches on how Singapore and, I don't know, South Korea got to where they were. That is being pitched as the Kenyan dream. But experts doubt, you know, I'm merging it with this issue of Singapore because the president says, you know, we want to go Singapore and South Korea. We want to merge them. And he's used a very good example of saying 60 years. Okay, I think I'm analyzing that video before you listen to it. As they're talking about patience, can you have a listen at his response on that, talking about Kenya matching South Korea and Singapore?
Singapore, for example, was exactly, and you have been following pictures, Singapore was exactly like Kibera, a slum, 60 years ago. Today in Singapore, 97% of their people are homeowners. In Kenya, 7 million people live in slums, and home ownership is limited to 30,000-40,000 mortgages every year. Korea, South Korea, if you look at the GDP per capita of South Korea, in 1963, it was $79, exactly like Kenya. GDP per capita for Kenya in 1963 was $80. Today, GDP, and by the way, South Korea is an agricultural country like Kenya. We are the same in everything. Their education was like ours. Their economy was our size. Their people, population, almost the same. But today, South Korea is in the first world with a GDP per capita 20 times that of Kenya. In fact, they lend us the money, 80 billion shillings. South Korea lend us to do Konza City.
Those two examples have been used. Someone was asking, why not US? Why not UK? Eh? Why are we not matching Jabadi? Okay. I have a question. And this question came from a professor, a distinguished professor who is a very good subscriber of this channel. This is what he asked. When the president is talking, he's telling the country to be patient. South Korea did not arrive here yesterday. We were in Kenya at the same time in 1960. Are you sure these young people are willing to wait for that 60 years to reach South Korea? Number one. Number two, we are speaking optimism. We are speaking a lot of optimism. But if we just claw back kidogo and ask, yet in 1960, Kenya and South Korea were at the same place, probably Singapore. Did they introduce share in 1960? Did they introduce housing levy in 1960? Let's use share, let's use housing levy, something education. Did they make the university education so expensive that knocked out some people from that? For those 60 years, what have they done? What is their law in tackling corruption? What is the legislative framework that has enabled them to tackle corruption? You know, there are countries like China, you found corrupt, you are killed. Are we going to arrive Singapore by rhetoric? I doubt. It may be I'm doubting Thomas. The president says, how about they're doubting us? But how about if I'm right? Maybe the president is right. I'm more, you know, in some very shocking revelation, just telling you that the president is depressed, is not settled. He actually says that he micromanages some of his cabinet or so because of dealing with ordinary. I have to micromanage.
Many a times I am accused of micromanaging stuff. But you see, when you have reluctant people whose mentality it is, tumeona serikali nyingi, you know, we've been here, we've seen many ministers, we've seen many presidents, because it is the business as usual stuff. It is the roll of the mill, normal stuff. And that is the reason why I have taken it upon myself in the last 3 years to raise the ambition of our country. For far too long, Master, we have worked with the usual. We have made peace with mediocrity. We have, you know, our standard has been the average. And somebody wrote a book and said, the enemy of the average. It makes you think you are not too bad, but it limits your ambition to do anything better. So, that ambition, my boss, Marsden, is what is driving me.
Now, I am a firm believer that anyone in power wants to make a mark. But I don't know, I doubt how we would actually achieve the Kenya Kwanza dream if that dream north to south, east, west, kushoto, kulia, start and ends with William Ruto. And it ends there. Kama nasema watu wengine wako hapa, tumeona presidents wengine. If that is the kind of attitude that when he sees some of his cabinet, if that is the kind of attitude yenye iko, I don't know. I doubt. Probably that is why some people have activated the "it is our time to eat" mode. But the young people must be very wary. And that's why I say that the call from that regional, that military man does not sit well with the president. Why? Youth participation would actually disadvantage the current crop of leaders. Let me tell you. Do you know why in State House, our mothers are being given a lot of money? Do you know why someone coming from Murang'a, mwenye kama anakuja Nairobi, ata spend to and fro an average of around 800 shillings, is being given 10,000 when he goes to State House? Do you know why? They want to make 2027 elections very expensive. About money. It's about money. And if you want, I have real example. You know, I'm also a community. I also in my community, my area. I attend some fundraisers, so sometimes I'll send people to also represent me in some fundraisers. So mimi, I don't have a lot of money. Sasa mimi nitatuma 2,000 yangu, 3,000, 2,000 kidogo hapa na pale. Burial there, school fees, mtoto anatakikana, maybe wanafanya fundraise hapa, there. You know, just one recently too, some burial kwetu. So I also sent in my contribution. And the local leaders there, those who are there, they had to make it look like it has to be more, like ukipeana hiyo yenye tunapeananga hiyo ni kidogo. Then there are some aspirant there who gave some little money, gave more than me. I mean, I'm not an aspirant, by the way. And he was so ridiculed. Kama una pesa, sasa unataka siasa nini hauna pesa? And that is a young person. He just wanted to be an MCA. That is a young person. Nataka tu kuwa MCA. Alikuwa ridiculed sana hapo kwa sababu amepena pesa kidogo. Now, our politics is being made around money. Why? The money is being introduced in that political ecosystem to suffocate the young Gen Zs who are coming in there. Because the more the Gen Zs will participate by even vying, they will attract the youth vote. And that youth vote might not convert to the president's ballot. That is why money is being used everywhere. And maybe nimewapatia CD. Now, I think Kenya Kwanza would want to redefine their scorecard based on what they think they've done. They don't want to define it based on this is what Gen Zs were saying, and they don't want to take that checklist. That is why Sifuna's call that MOU between ODM and UDA has to be reviewed based on that checklist. That is why Sifuna must be silenced by all means, because that is not what William Ruto wants. What William Ruto wants and Kenya Kwanza wants that in 2027, they will show you markets built. They will show you some roads there. They will show you affordable housing built by money collected from taxpayers' money. They will show you that is the other things. But they will not show you how much they have saved from corruption. Gen Z resonates with the opposition. And anyone in the state function or standing next to the president talking about Gen Z, the president sees that person as opposition. Thank you.
Hi guys, Eric Omondi here. Tomorrow is Peperusha Tuesday. Dear Gen Zs, this is our God-given moment. Tomorrow is Peperusha Tuesday. Take a video of yourself registering as a voter or take a video of yourselves with the national ID card. Be creative. You can be dancing or with the voter's card. This is our historical moment to change this country. Hatuko sawa. Hata wewe unajua. Both you and I know that we have not been okay since 1963. We respect our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents, but Kenya has not been okay. Hatuna do, hatuna chakula, hatuna school fees, hatuna rent. Watu wangapi wamekufa kwa hospitali because of lack of medicine. Let's do this for Albert Ojwang. Let's vote for Boniface Kariuki. Let's change this country for the sake of Rex Masai. If we do not vote, they will never forgive us. Then they shall have lost their lives for no reason. There's already a narrative that is being driven that majenzia wachukui kura, that majenzia watachukua kura, that vijana wapigangi kura. They're trying to create a narrative that Gen Zs wako irresponsible, that Gen Zs ni walevi, watu wajaba. They're trying to create a narrative. They called us formless, they called us leaderless, and now they're calling us voteless. That will not be the case. Do not accept that narrative. I repeat, Gen Zs do not accept that narrative. This is Kenya's last liberation. 1963 Mau Mau walifanya yao. In 1992 akina Martha Karua, sijui Gitobu Manyara, sijui akina nani walifanya second liberation. This is going to be the last liberation that Kenya will experience. Tomorrow I'll be posting every video. Just send me a video on 0726 959 111, the number below here. Ama ipost kwa Instagram na unitag. Ipost kwa Facebook na TikTok na unitag. 70% of Kenyan voters are young people. 70%. Inamaanisha kwamba Gen Zs can determine the future of this nation.